Hey class, how you doing? My name is Christopher Cadet. I'm here to teach you about adventure therapy. Yay us. All right, to start off, adventure therapy is an action-centered approach to treatment that is used within the field of therapeutic recreation. As opposed to other forms of therapy, adventure therapy encourages individuals to become mentally and physically involved and engaging during the activities. So remember, adventure therapy encourages individuals to be involved mentally and physically with the activities. So that's a key thing to know. The unfamiliar natures of these activities combined with the sense of community like facilitates a environment of trust for the participants. So basically saying like you never know what's gonna happen. Let's say if you go rock climbing, the unpredictable happens. And you have your teammates cheering you on, you're scared or you know you think it's too high, you're scared of heights, you don't want to look down, but you have people behind you motivating you, pushing you on, telling you to keep going, don't worry, it's going to be okay. That that motivates you and that pushes you to finish the activity and actually complete it. So like when you finish doing that, like you feel like you can trust your teammates, like you're hearing them telling you it's going to be okay, and once you got to the top and realize you didn't die, everything's okay. Like you learn to trust people. I mean, this is great to use for domestic violence victims because like it reintroduces the concept of trust in small increments. So just remember that could be a population that adventure therapy could benefit on domestic violence victims. All right. All right. It is said in the book, quoted, that adventure therapy lacks a clear definition because it is a subset of adventure programming. But just to be clear, adventure therapy is the facilitation technique, and adventure activities, like basically, is just the activities, and adventure programming is like the overall, like the daddy over everything. So just keep that in mind. So adventure activities are like the activities themselves. Like let's say rock climbing, our favorite activity, like a tour, like on a jeep or something. Um, let's say kayaking. I mean that could also be sailing, but kayaking, like like sightseeing, hiking, period, camping, stuff like that. Like the activities period. Just know that adventure activities are the activities. It's literally in the term adventure activities. All right, on to adventure therapy. So, adventure therapy is basically all the activities grouped under one term. So, let's say a fish plus an umbrella makes an umbrella fish. That would be like a jellyfish if you guys ever watch SpongeBob. But yeah, so it's basically all the activities under one term. That's what adventure therapy is. It's the facilitated modality. So remember that, guys. In adventure therapy, you have to consider all the factors, all the risk factors actually. Like make sure all the equipment's correct. Like there are gonna be bugs out there. You need like bug spray. You need like proper clothing. You have to factor in all the risks, environmental and risks involving the client. You don't know like how the client's going to react like when faced with fear or excitement. So you have to be on your toes about that, especially as a therapeutic professional. You have to be very observant, especially if you're like an adventure therapist or somebody who's conducting an adventure therapy related activity. It is important to stay on your toes and always be observant. Some theoretical foundations associated with adventure therapy include self perception, that being self concept, how the individual views themselves or their personality or their persona, self efficacy, like believing if they can do it or not. Like they they look at a tree and think, oh, can I climb this tree? I can't climb this tree. Like that's like self-efficacy. That's like you gauging your capabilities basically. That's basically what self-efficacy is. Gauging your capabilities. So, yeah. Explanatory style is how an individual like explains or tells you how events happens. How events happen, not events happen. Events happen. So like explaining it or explaining a rock climbing trip, or if you ask them, hey, how did the rock climbing trip go? Like, what did you do? Did you enjoy it? That's basically what I think explanatory style is. And social identity basically is a feeling of belonging, like trying to find yourself in a group of 10 people. Like, what's gonna set you apart from everybody else? You know, like like feeling like inclusive, being part of the crew, or not being left out, or not being a loner. Like that's one thing that adventure therapy really like helps with, like team building. Let's say like you work for an office and you guys go do like a team building exercise. Like probably adventure therapy will be used some way or somehow. It'll be great to use, because it builds trust. It builds like interrelations between like coworkers and stuff and individuals or people. Period. Like I said, going back to domestic violence victims, like it can reintroduce trust into their lives, or reintroduce trust as like another concept. You know, you get what I'm saying. So yeah. All right, here comes the fun part, guys. This is an activity. Well, it's adventure time. Let's just call it adventure time. This is an activity underneath the facilitation technique, adventure therapy. The activity itself is called Willow. It's in a book as well. The equipment I would use is a field or large open area to facilitate this activity. So the description of this activity is: in this activity, participants will conduct a field exercise that builds trust. So it's a trust building exercise, like I said. The purpose of this activity is to build trust between members of the group and also build confidence in oneself. So you see, going back to the concept of self-perception, you know? Adventure therapy activities such as this one not only encourage team building environment, but also fosters an individual's determination and mindset. By placing participants into unfamiliar environments and having them complete and take part in activities they are not normally used to, enhances and facilitates their self-efficacy. So them learning like their capabilities, learning, hey, I can do this, it's not really that hard. And that forces them, or like helps them like challenge things rather than being like scared to do things, like be a daredevil, not like a boring like Sally, whatever you say, you know? Yeah. Not only in completing the courses or activities, but for instilling the notion of trying your best. Adventure therapy activities are beneficial to the participants because they also improve motor adaptiveness, including speed, agility, and fine motor skills, not known to the participants. So on the low, like you're like building like your foundations or getting back to the basics. And as far as leadership considerations for this activity, the leader of this activity can either be a CTRS, Certified Therapeutic Recreational Specialist, or a knowledgeable individual with experience in the field. Yeah, who can conduct this activity safely and correctly without anybody getting hurt. So, in my estimate, for every 6 participants there should be at least one facilitator, therapist, or volunteer present to observe and make sure that everyone is safe and that the activity is going smoothly. So, some populations that adventure therapy can be used for are interventions for individuals with anxiety. Adventure therapy can facilitate a change in their confidence and heighten self-esteem. So, like, People who have anxiety are always worried all the time. Like, stop stressing. Like go do some adventure therapy. Trust me. Like you'll come back like a brand new person. Like you'll have trust. Like you'll believe in yourself. Like you won't look in the mirror and think, you know, you're ugly or something. Which everybody's beautiful. You know, like what one person may think of you doesn't really matter because another person may think differently. So always keep that in mind. Keep yourselves up. Be positive. Interventions for individuals with limb loss can help people realize newfound capabilities that were once perceived impossible. So like that goes back to self efficacy. So like if you have one arm or one leg, sorry to those people, um you never thought you could climb a rock wall or a cliff, and then you go do it, and then you realize, hey, it's not really that hard. I mean, well, it probably is harder than doing it with two hands or two legs, but it's doable, and you strive to make it a goal to go rock climbing now. So like that's like latent capabilities that you didn't even think that you had. Like that's crazy. All right. Interventions for individuals who are once domestic violence victims, like we said before earlier, twice in this presentation, it can reintroduce the concept of trust in small increments. Maybe the individual is not ready to fully trust another person. It can introduce it little by little, gradually. Be like, okay, I can open up a little bit more. They can relate that to their lives. Like at first, let's say if you're on the platform, you're gonna fall back. You don't want to jump down 10 feet. I mean, well, fall back 10 feet. That's pretty scary. That'd be scary for anybody, you know? But if everybody's egging you on and like telling you it's going to be okay, you're not going to get hurt, like just do it, trust us. The fact that they say trust them and you actually let yourself go, you let all the tenseness and stiffness go away, like, and actually just let your body free fall back 10 feet, that takes a lot of like commitment and trust. So for a person who's coming from an environment where their trust was betrayed or they feel like they can't trust another person, that's a really big step. Trusting your well-being, well, putting your well-being in other people's hands. So those are the three populations that adventure therapy can benefit: those with social anxiety or anxiety period, those with limb loss or like let's say like people who got their limbs cut off, and domestic violence victims. So yeah, that's adventure therapy in a nutshell, guys. I hope this really helped you guys, and I hope this taught you and taught me about adventure therapy. All right, good night.